Hi guys, this is Mike from the last Corvette. I'm inside the C6, finally doing a video. I'm very excited. It's been a couple of weeks. It's been crazy with work, kids, life, other projects, and we all got sick. I got sick, wife got sick, kids got sick, and it was kind of just repeating all over and over again. It was pretty much a vicious cycle. So looks like we're doing a lot better. So I can start focusing on this C6 and this channel. Originally, what I was going to do is I was going to make a 2 or 3 part video and break it up, but I really don't want to go on for hours and and just kind of bore everybody. So I'm going to make it into 3 different videos. So the first video is going to be the C6. I want to touch base. I want to kind of touch on all the things that still need to happen with the C6 to get her ready to spring and then move from there. The second video is going to explain this channel, as far as what this channel will be moving forward, and what kind of content I really want to deliver, which is good content. I don't want to sit here in the dark anymore, or and on top of it, I don't want to bring in projects or talk about projects that are all over the YouTube. It doesn't matter if it's a C6 or some other vehicle. So I definitely want to bring some fun, interesting content to this channel that everybody can enjoy if you're a car lover. And the third one is going to be Instagram, merch, and just kind of moving forward and beyond 2020. So let's get back to the C6. So the current situation is the Pioneer is in. The rear camera is installed. The trunk is all put back together. So the panel and everything, all that stuff is put back in. The only thing I got left is I have to braid the front cable, so the front camera wire, and lay it in real nice right where the fender is. But I'm gonna when I'm done here, I'm gonna explain why I haven't done that yet, on top of being sick and everything else. So let's touch really quick as far as what I still have left to do. So the first thing is first, I'm going to start this week, tomorrow after work. I'm going to start on the passenger side headlight. The headlight's got to come out. The lenses have to be replaced. This is your C6 normal issue. And obviously it's more so when a vehicle comes from a southern state. I live in Michigan, so our vehicles sit in a garage for 6+ months. We put a little bit of miles on them here and there, and then they sit again. Obviously, if you're on the East Coast, West Coast, and down south, you're driving these things a lot more. They're exposed to the elements, and you get what you get. And I'll show you guys exactly how mine look. And I just keep in mind that I had to wet sand both of my headlights and buff them out to even get them to this current condition. When I first got this thing, they were just yellow and nasty. So the headlight's got to be done. I'm going to replace the driver's side fog light because it does have some water damage on it. It's easier. I found a real nice clean fog light for pretty cheap. So I'm not even going to try to take the lens apart and buff it and clean it. I'd rather just replace it. I'm going to have enough, on my hands with these headlight lenses. And like I said, I'll explain here why in a second. As I'm doing, so I'm going to start with a driver's side headlight. As I'm doing the headlights, I'm going to do 2 other things. So I'm going to do the headlight, then I'm going to replace the outer tie rod link, and I'm going to paint the caliper. We're going to move over here. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to do the headlight, outer tie rod link, caliper painted. Then we're going to move over to the rear of the vehicle. We're also going to do the links, and like I said before in the video, there's no play in them. The dust caps are dry rotted. They're original. So all 4 corners are being replaced, and also the rear calipers are getting painted as well. That leaves this vehicle with 2 things. Number 1 is the fuel pump. So the fuel pump, I decided it's a done deal. I'm going to take this thing and trailer it over to my buddy's dealer, and he's going to replace the fuel pump while the vehicle is sitting on the hoist with all the tools, making it easier on me and him. And we'll do it that way. And at the same time, we'll do the transmission service. I already have everything for the transmission. I still have to buy the fuel pump, but it's going to make it that much easier versus me laying on the ground trying to, just mess around with this fuel. The transmission, I know I can do. The fuel pump is just, it's something that, especially my back, the way it is, I really don't want to mess around with it. I'd rather just take it to a dealer, have them done, do it right. It's one of my best friends. Still going to save me a bunch of money, but we'll rather, get it done on a hoist. So when I do the passenger side rear link and the caliper, I am going to put the inner wheel liner back in. The driver's side is going to stay out until the fuel pump is done. So that's going to be really it. Now, moving forward with this vehicle. So once that's done, I am looking right now to buy a E85 inline sensor. And I do have I shouldn't say a date, but I definitely have a time, open time set up come springtime, to get this Corvette dyno tuned. And as you guys know or don't know, this C6, it's a A6, has a cold air intake, and it's a snake style, which is the best setup. It has headers. It has catalytic converter deletes, true dual exhaust leading right back to a Corsa Sport axle back exhaust. I never had a chance to take it to my buddy's dealer, and he might look into it before the tuner does. But I don't really know if this thing has a tune or not. I mean, it ran great for me. It still does. It starts up, but we'll find out either way. So I do have a date set up with a tuner that specializes in LS vehicles. And the whole idea is we have plenty of parts, plenty of mods coming for this vehicle. So what I would like to do is, regardless, I want to put this thing on the dyno with a tune or no tune and get a baseline, even though this is not a base, numbers, because we do have some bolt-ons already on this vehicle. But I definitely want to get this dyno tune, get some horsepower, wheel power, torque, and set it up for E85. And I'm going to explain something to you guys that some people know, some people don't. And let's get out of the car and we can kind of discuss it outside the garage. So, or I should say outside the car. You don't want to go outside the garage right now. So the C6s all came with a E85 or ethanol fuel table locked. So the fuel table, the parameters were already in the computer, but they were locked out. And the reason they were locked out is because this vehicle was made to run on premium fuel, 93 octane. And this is what I really found out. So I actually had a conversation with one of GM Tech Center engineers that knows these Corvettes, C4, C5s, C6s and C7s, and obviously the C8s. And this is the real truth. So they had, at that time, everybody was converting over to ethanol. It was slow conversion, but it was already embedded into the C6. Ethanol at that time, and still really till this day, is really interconnected, where people think of it as like a hybrid / fuel economy / saving money. So for GM to offer a flex fuel option on a C6, C5, C7 would be, well, it wouldn't sound right, it wouldn't look right, even though there's potential for a lot more power to be delivered from these LS and LT engines when you do get them tuned to E85, and especially when you get them supercharged. So I know what I'm going to do to this vehicle. So I'm going to buy a kit, and it's a inline E85 ethanol sensor that connects in between your fuel feed and your fuel rail. There's a E85 sensor. There's a wire, output wire that goes to your computer, and then it tells it, hey, this is your ethanol content, but it has to be tuned. Those kits, I'm going to get one from Texas Speed. There's a few other companies that make them. You just want to get something quality. Don't get something from eBay. Like I said, with the with anything really, you get what you pay for. Get something from a known company and read the reviews. So there's two types of kits. The first kit is a basic kit that I'm going to get. So it's basically plug and play. You enter, it goes in between the two fuel, so in feed, fuel rail, you run the wire, you hook it up, it's plug and play, but you can't just put E85 into the fuel tank because it won't run right, it'll throw all kinds of codes. So you have to take it to a tuner, you come in, and most of the time, unless you already have a tune, I'm not sure, so I'm gonna come in with like a quarter tank of 93 octane. We're gonna run this Corvette on 93 octane, get the high octane pump fuel set. Then I'm going to bring 5 or 8 gallons of ethanol. We're going to put ethanol in, E85. We're going to do a couple of short runs, and he's going to unlock and start building the ethanol table and then the mix table, where it basically takes both, or the blend, where it takes your regular 93 octane and E85 and blends them together, because you can do that. You can run mix, or you can run straight ethanol. Now, on a regular setup like this, you will see gains in the horsepower. You're probably going to see, 5 to 10 horsepower, and but it really becomes apparent when you get into your superchargers. You can get as much as 100 horsepower running an E85 tune or running E85 fuel. And the beauty about it is there's no maps you got to switch for. You can just go in, exhaust your 93 octane, fill it up full of 85% ethanol. The computer picks it up, and off you go. The second kit works the same way. You can still tune it, but yet you can, once it's installed, you can take it right to a ethanol gas station, fill it up with ethanol, and there's an extra part that comes with the kit, and it's a controller. And that controller basically overrides or acts like a tune on your computer and makes the car run proper without actual unlocking the fuel table for the ethanol and having it tuned. The difference is about $400. So it's about $700. It's $700 from Summit Racing to buy a full complete kit that's plug and play, meaning that when you're done installing it, you can go to the gas station, pump it full of E85, and off you go. The thing about it is that is true, but you still want to get it tuned to maximize and optimize your vehicle, to get everything out of it, to adjust the timing, and to get the ethanol to do what it's supposed to do, which is give you the extra boost, especially if you're running a supercharger. And then the kit that I'm going to get is you plug it in, plug and play, you run all the wires, actually just one wire. You get it set. You just can't put 85 in until you actually get it on the dyno. That's really it. So this is what I'm going to do with it. So I already mentioned all the current mods. The next thing I'm going to do to the C6 is we're going to get Texas Speed heads, Texas Speed cam. I really want to get this done in this year, 2020, get that put in. We'll see if I can get it done midsummer or late summer. We'll see on my work schedule and how much time I have in between actually delivering you guys decent content and having the C6 down for a period of time. And the last thing that I'm going to do is and I already made up my mind, is I'm going to buy and install a East Coast supercharger on it. So when I do my heads and cam, I'm also at the same time going to pin my crank pulley. That way I don't have to take the steering rack out twice. And what we're going to do is we're going to put head cam package on it. We're going to take it back to the dyno, get a dyno on high octane, 93 octane, and E85, see what that power is, and then we're going to install the supercharger, take it back again, and get it tuned on 93 and E85. My goal is really to be 600 plus, 620, 650. If I can get more, great. It will still make it into a very reliable, streetable car, and not something you regret taking out on a nice summer day. And that's really where this Corvette is going to end up as far as the mods, but that's where we're also going to stop. And the next project is going to be more than likely a C5 Z Corvette that we're going to take a notch further. But for this guy, it's going to be heads cam, East Coast supercharger. We're going to have a lot of fun. And also, I'm going to powder coat these chrome wheels black. I have a company that I've actually dealt with years and years ago. They're one of the best in my area. They have a military grade coating that doesn't come off, doesn't peel, doesn't chip. You really have to force it, push it, chisel it. And this is what I'm going to use, because everything on this car is black except the wheels. And I was going back and forth if I'm going to keep them, sell them, but I think I'm going to coat them. So in the part 2, we'll explain the content that I'm going to do. I don't want to make this video any longer, but I am going to show the headlights really quick. Go over here. So these are the headlights. These are your typical C6. You got stress cracks. They're actually caused by the sun. The UV protection on these OEM headlight lenses was non-existent. This vehicle was an Oklahoma, born in Kentucky, but then transferred over to Oklahoma from the original dealer from Kentucky, and that's where it spent its entire life until it came to Michigan. So, like I said before, they do take a lot of abuse when it comes to the actual headlight lenses, especially if they're out in a warmer climates where you can drive it. So basically, the more road time it sees, the more sun it sees, and that's what you end up with. So, like I said, I have the kit, but here's the issue. There's some. I'm pretty sure this was coated or painted, regardless, but it's peeling right here. This is your running light, your headlight, and I can't just leave it like that. It's going to drive me nuts. So what I'm going to do is that's why I'm starting with the passenger side headlight. Once I take this apart, I'm going to look at the inner housing and see how bad this is, and more than likely, I'm going to have to clean all this up and paint it. So what that means is if I'm going to paint this side, I got to paint the driver's side so they match. So this portion of the project, I'm not really going to beat and abuse when it comes to videos. There's been a lot of different videos, different channels focusing on removing the headlights, separating the headlights. But I am going to touch on some key points halfway through, or when they're reassembled. If I find any shortcuts or trouble spots, I'm definitely going to report back. So obviously that's the issue. And I did look into, I said, well, maybe I can find a headlight that's in the same condition as mine, but with a good inner housing. But these headlights, even in this condition or worse condition, they're still super expensive. And so I'm going to have to deal with what I have. And like I said, more than likely, I'm going to have to paint it. So that's about it. And like I said, these headlights here were wet sanded 3 times and buffed out with an orbital polisher, and they're night and day compared to what they look like when this vehicle first showed up. They were completely glazed over yellow. Oh, and the last thing is, I always talk about you get what you pay for. Don't buy cross flags or any kind of badges or decals on a cheap. I bought a set for the front and the back, and the reason is, once again, the original cross flags were slightly faded. These Corvettes, front and the rear bumpers, they have 2 locating holes. So if you buy OEM badges, or if you go on eBay, some of the more expensive aftermarket badges, they do come with locating pins. So these pins go in, and what they do is they center the cross flags or the badge to be square to the bumper and to the rest of the car. So I already got some. This is obviously junk. I have a spare one. It's probably going to go on the toolbox or something like that, but that's just another key fact. Don't buy the cheap ones. Buy the ones that do have the locating pins. If you're not sure, email whoever it is, unless you're buying it from a GM dealer. Make sure they have the pins, and make sure you put them on either if you heat the garage or during warmer months, because they will not stick. There's just a 3M backing, and especially the front and the back, you have to have this pliable so it preforms to the shape of the bumper. But like I said, locating holes, locating pins, really important. All right, guys, second video gonna come out, or second part is gonna come out tomorrow. I'm gonna record it. We're gonna talk about this channel, what I'm planning on doing this spring, this summer, going forward in 2021. And the third part is going to be the Instagram, the merch, really getting in touch with you guys, the viewers, and the sponsors in the future, and really getting this channel, the Last Corvette channel, to a whole different level. I'll talk to you guys later.